The cameras are ready. The microphones are ready. Let's get ready for Wi-Fi.
Marvin Berglas, welcome to the podcast. World famous magician, owner of Marvin's Magic, and now president of the Magic Circle. What do you see yourself as, more entrepreneur or magician, or?
Well, firstly, good to be here. Thanks for inviting me. Well, I'm just Marvin, really, but these things have happened in my life. I created Marvin's Magic about 36 years ago. Just an idea, an opportunity, and it built into the biggest magic company in the world, which is brilliant. Wow. And it's in 60 countries worldwide, and it sort of shaped me. You know, it's been a very interesting journey to get to that, but I was always fairly entrepreneurial and had a couple of companies doing really well before that as well. So, but that's probably what I was known for, or most best known for, and just recently become elected by my peers to be the president of the Magic Circle, which is the top spot in magic, really. And,
that's unbelievable.
Is that worldwide?
Yes,
that's not just governed in the UK.
No, the headquarters is in the UK.
It's in Soho, right?
It's actually in Euston. It started in Soho. That's where the Magic Circle began. It was formed in 1905 by a group of well-known magicians, and it sort of flourished. There's about 1,700 members worldwide now, from the top elite, you know, the Copperfields and all those sort of guys, Darren Browns and Dynamo, right through. Even King Charles is a member, actually.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
So does that mean he's a magician?
Well, he did. He had to become a member. You have to actually do some magic and pass an audition, which is really tough in front of your peers to do an audition at the Magic Circle. And he did that. He came to the old headquarters and did the very famous cups and balls. You know, he was Prince Charles at the time, but obviously that's brilliant. So
was he any good, or did he just get a pass because he was a royal? Well, honestly,
I'd say he probably, if it was boxing, let's have a think, he would probably have got in shape. He would probably have done a few things, known a few bits and pieces, but I'm sure you wouldn't have smashed him to the ground if you had a title.
I like the boxing analogy there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. So, if when you introduce yourself, do you introduce yourself as a magician?
Depends to who.
Because you've got there's so many different terms of magician, like a mentalist or an illusionist. What do you fit into? What category?
I suppose a magician. My sort of title on documents and stuff like that is multi-award-winning magician and entrepreneur, which is pretty much what you said in the intro. But there, as you say, magic is as diverse as music, and in the same way you've got hip hop, jazz, classical, pop. You've got different styles of magic. So you've got the big illusions that you see in Las Vegas. You've got the mentalists, or the likes of Darren Brown type of stuff. You've got all the different. They've got close-up magic, which is what I enjoy specialising in, and there's so many. I mean, most people can actually only think of maybe 8 or 5 or 10 magicians, And if you think of magicians, you've got to name a few, and I'll try and put
Houdini.
them where they are. So Houdini, obviously.
Paul Daniels,
yeah.
Darren Brown, I would have said.
David Blaine, right? Yeah.
Who's that one in Vegas?
Uri Geller is another one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Copperfield.
Yeah, of course.
So basically, let me put it in sort of music terms. So if you think of, let's say, do you remember Siegfried and Roy? Have you heard of them? Those are the people who made, elephants appear and disappear in Vegas.
But they in Vegas, I think that's who I'm thinking of.
Yeah, well, they were really the ultimate illusionists, and they would be probably the Liberace,
Right, yeah.
And then you think of someone like Copperfield, he would be the equivalent of, let's say, Barry Manilow,
commercial.
Paul Daniels, Des O'Connor, right? and then you've got David Blaine, Snoop Dogg.
Right.
So you can see how they're different changes. Dynamo, Tiny Temper. You know what I mean? Everyone's got a different sort of feel and a vibe. But
no one's better than the other.
Well,
they're
just different styles. Yeah. And
I always thought that. So it's about who is the greatest magician of all time?
How do you measure it?
Exactly.
You measure it by reputation. and you measure it by bank balance. You measure it by amount
Talent.
of people have seen them,
Mysticism,
whatever people enjoy. And I just think
Is there a GOAT in your opinion?
well, you've got to say, I mean, Houdini's interesting because, he died in 1926, yet his name's in the dictionary still, as the great escape. And they didn't have the internet in those days, and all his publicity and his name is made through, he's a fantastic marketer as well of
A
himself.
historical figure, isn't he?
Yeah, and so that's interesting. But you've got to say someone like Copperfield, who is so... even to this day, he's really working hard. I mean, he does 7 or 8 shows a week in Vegas. He's still signed a huge contract, which will take him a few more years, even though he is one of the top 10 highest paid people in show business, not in magic, in show business. So let's assume he's got billions. He owns an island and this, but he's still wanting to work, and he's still. If you tell him where are you in 2 years' time at 7 o'clock and 10 o'clock, he's still doing that show.
Yeah.
Why? Because when you fly into Vegas, they measure you can see on the hotels these huge billboards that you can see, and he probably wants to, as you say, be the GOAT.
So would you say he's...
Well, you've got to respect what he's done, for magic. But
someone like your dad, for example, he was like one of the first magicians.
Well, it's the first time we brought my dad into it, and I've just literally come from him just now.
97, right?
He's 97, yeah, and he was the first TV magician in this country to have his own series, and he was, he's a very, very interesting guy, and so a lot of people, like David Blaine and Darren Brown, we've said his name a few times, but Dynamo, they all, and Penn and Teller, they look to him, and he's the GOAT.
Really?
He's written a big after he retired, a big volume book that Blaine insists that it's out of print, but all his people, his team must read,
Right.
and Copperfield's used him for certain illusions.
It's like the Bible of magic.
It was his thing, and it's not actually tricks, but his thinking is so unique, and that really that's made him very special. And for me as a child, I always say it was I wasn't as interested in magic as some kids who live and breathe it. I thought you tend to go differently from what your parents do and stuff like that. So it just was something that I grew up with. But
was he always doing tricks around the house?
No, it wasn't that at all. No,
really,
it wasn't. But so occasionally we'd go with him. I mean, when we went to school, he sort of came off the air in this country a bit. To try and give us a relatively normal upbringing,
right.
and he worked, abroad. And he was the first TV personality of the year, where he had a series in Holland. And
he was
like
massively famous in Holland.
Yeah,
wasn't he?
That's right. And he did crazy stunts like blindfold drives through the streets. And it was huge stuff in the papers. And when we used to go there and then watch his show and stuff, and people pointing, and it was just a really strange thing that had never really happened to us here in the UK, but we see it now, and the more I get into magic, the more I do see what a huge influence he's had. But I purposely went a very different direction from him because I didn't want to be compared for my style or my methods of magic, because it's like saying if your dad's Bobby Charlton or David Beckham, it doesn't mean your son plays for England. Quite the opposite. It means it's actually you're open to a lot of comparisons and it's actually harder. So I totally went a different direction.
That was one of my questions actually, because I thought like some people would say, "Oh, of course he's successful because look who his dad is."
Yeah,
but it's not the truth.
Well,
You've still got to be super driven and push yourself.
Well, actually, you've probably got to work twice as hard, quite frankly. It's an expression I heard when I was recently interviewed when I got the presidency of the Magic Circle from a journalist saying, is it to do with Nepo babies, which is a term I hadn't really heard much of before, but it's like if you've grown
being
up
gifted
in that,
it in a way.
Exactly, silver spoon sort of thing. And it's actually far from it. Firstly, let's say my dad, whilst he was president of the Magic Circle, and I am now president, first time in the 118-year history they've ever had father and son ever, which was brilliant, of course, and it's brilliant to do it in his lifetime, which was marvellous. I'm very proud of that. But he still would only have one vote, and it needed, there's 1,900 odd people voting, and so you can't pull the wool over people's eyes. It's because it's what they wanted. It's because of hopefully what I've developed in my career away from him.
With your career, sort of, you saying consciously going in a slightly different direction, which was like maybe making magic more of a business. Mm-hmm. I wondered if you've had any sort of flack from the Magic Circle or the people in the world of magic for kind of bringing the attention of magic and how it's done to the masses, or is it like?
I was thinking that, isn't it a little bit of a conflict of interest?
Because it's supposed to be secret.
You're giving away a bit. I know they're kiddie tricks.
They're not all kiddie tricks. There's some, we have different ranges. We have executive magic and all sorts. But
to
answer your
like
question,
Black Mark's your name.
No, I mean, perhaps.
Well, he calls the shots now, doesn't he?
No, perhaps, let's say in the very beginning, people who are not educated might have thought that in the magic world. But actually, we are the first and only magic supplier in the history to have ever received the official recommendation from the Magic Circle. And
Right.
indeed, we firstly. We're not just a toy company who happens to have a bit of magic where we import it from the Far East and use their instructions. We actually write the instructions, we design the tricks, and we put the most suitable tricks for the age range to encourage the art of magic. So we feel we're giving age-appropriate tricks with age-appropriate instructions. Big props for small hands at work, and you've seen that environment. We have a big following of literally millions of magicians around the world that we've encouraged, and so the Magic Circle have been very grateful to us for actually having not only just put appropriate magic through. In fact, there's a Magic Circle come to get me now. Look at that, taking me away now. Yeah.
But again, that's important though, right? You want people, it's the gateway into magic. You want people to be interested in it.
I think that's absolutely right, Dan, because we've actually encouraged more magicians probably in the last 35 years than anybody else. In fact, if I'm now as president of the Magic Circle and I look around the club room or the membership list, and literally, dozens and dozens have come through our ranks, and also
as in Marvin's Magic.
Yeah. Marvin's Magic, and as the so we encourage the magicians of tomorrow, and I can say that hand on heart, we've probably done most of anybody in the world to do that.
That's how we met. That's how we met. I was on holiday, and one of your representatives.
Yeah,
was that
one of our magic ambassadors. Yeah. It was in Sardinia, wasn't it? We have an academy there at a top people's place where they do different academies of.
And my little boy, 5 years old, he's gone and done a magic workshop, and that's how I met Marvin.
I am proud that we have actually encouraged many magicians, and we also. We run the magic shop for the big store groups. We started off in Hamleys of Regent Street, which is in London, with biggest and finest toy store. We also do that now in Harrods, or we do it in FAO Schwartz in New York, in Milan, Dubai, all those sort of places. But the one in Hamleys in particular, and then later the other ones, became a magnet for wannabe magicians to learn their people skills and to learn their presentation, because magic's not just about the secrets, it's about communicating, about getting it across, and
charisma,
and to get an audience coming, because all the time hundreds of thousands of people go through that store every week. You've got literally a few moments to in a busy environment to capture their attention, compared to everything else, hold the audience, demonstrate the stuff, and if they like it, their applause is them buying it, which shows that they believe in you as a person, and then so that's a great experience, and through our ranks we've had some of the most amazing people who've gone on then to become the elite professionals of today, from I don't know, Stephen Mulhern, or Tom Hollander, the actor, or to some of the top magicians that you can know, including people like Andy Nyman, who was in films and TV and writes for Darren and that sort of stuff.
I've got so many questions about the Magic Circle, but I will ask them a bit later on. I'm intrigued by how it works and what you can and can't say and all that. But
as a magician, I've been trying to sort of figure out what a magician is, and you've sort of touched on it a little bit there, saying gaining their applause is kind of what you're after. But is that it? Because I was thinking, I've watched some of these magicians over the years do a trick and freak people out. There's no applause. They literally a bit Isn't that also what you're after?
I think I can imagine. I'd rather the gasp. It happened to me where I was absolutely blown away.
Really
blown away. Right, so Funny enough, it was when I was sat next to Marvin Hagler. It was that show.
Was it?
So I'm sat next. I was telling Ryan just before you come in. He said Marvelous Marvin about you coming down, and then I said, "Oh, I've got to sit next to Marvin Hagler at a dinner show. It was a boxing show on Piccadilly near Park Lane." And this bloke come over and he did this card trick, and he got it wrong. But we thought it was obviously part of the trick.
Yeah.
Right. So he starts doing this other trick, and all of a sudden he goes, "Oh, I know where that card is." And what are we talking about? He goes, "The one from the trick before. I know where the card is." And he picks up a kiwi fruit and he cuts this kiwi fruit. He cut the kiwi fruit. He cut open the kiwi fruit, or we cut it open, and the card was rolled up in the kiwi fruit. Signed. He was this one.
Marvin's like, oh yeah.
Yeah, but
see, the fact that you can remember that some years ago and you've still got that experience, that's what magic is.
Back in my brain.
If it makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, or if that's the difference between a good and a great magician, because it's all hopefully impressive stuff, but if you can affect someone, that is the ultimate, and that's
implant a memory. And
gobsmacked. Yeah,
but
absolutely.
so the magic circle. So getting the card into that kiwi, only you lot would know.
Yeah, that's not something that would be in one of our box sets, but I suppose this is a cue for doing a little trick.
Yeah, there we go. Segue.
So don't worry about the box. So when you get a bit of let's try this. Obviously, I design magic, so you'd expect me to have special cards. These aren't special cards. These are normal cards. And if anybody wants to check them out, now would be a good time. Can I put some air between them like that? Just give them a good old shuffle, and I'll ask you just to give them a little shuffle yourself. Go on.
I'm not very good at shuffling.
No. Just one thing, Darren. It does help if you put them back in exactly the same order. Exactly the same order, as it might not work. Very good.
Right, okay, look.
You made a right meal out of that.
Look, there you go. Look, so
are you happy?
Sort of shuffled, yeah.
Yeah, and so what I'm going to do is Ryan's going to take a card of your choice. Anyone don't let me influence you. Have a good look at it. Okay, show it to Darren. Don't show me. Show it to the camera if you want. And I'll put it back about here. And my job is to find it, but in a unique way. And there's different ways of doing it. For example, you can do like this. You can control the position, 19th, 12th. This takes a lot of skill. 43, 26, 14, about 41 or 42 from the top, roughly. It's lost in the pack. So even if I was blindfolded, I should hopefully be able to reach behind my back and just try and pull out a card. Let's just see what we can do here. Hold on a second. Can I just ask you to hold that for a second? Just pinch it tight, yeah. Was your card a red card?
Yep.
No, it's a blue card. You've got to pay attention. Okay, hold on.
I didn't know you're a comedian as well.
Yeah, hold a second. 5 of diamonds.
No.
It is. I never said it's your card. This is the 5 of diamonds. I've been doing this a long time. It's not the 5 of diamonds, right?
No.
Okay, check this out. So I'm going to rip it up like this, and it's not the 5 of diamonds. No, put your other hand like this down, and could you squeeze it really tight? Hold it like that. Perfect. And for the first time, tell us what the card is. I will make it jump out the pack. What was the card?
Jack of Hearts.
Really? Jack of Hearts. Watch. 1, 2, 3. Jack of Hearts. Look, one card jumps out. Now, hold on. That's not bad. That's not bad. But the difference between a good magician and a great magician is this. It's got a little piece missing, right?
What?
Inside your hand.
So I'm going to look at my,
Have a look. And does does it fit perfect as well?
Oh, God.
Yeah, that's the sort of stuff.
It just does my head in. I just cannot get my head around that.
I'll really watch them to try and...
Yeah. So you're really close, and hopefully that's the sort of experiences that we like to get to people.
I see the diamond. I see a bit of the diamond go in my hand.
Yeah, there we go.
Obviously not.
No, but I did. I did.
So it's you can see. Listen, keep that. If you put that under your pillow
Tomorrow,
it'll still be there.
There's a part of me gets annoyed.
Yeah.
Because I just
why can't I see it?
Well, I can't get.
There's different things. Magic shouldn't be, aren't I clever? I've done this. It should be enjoyable. That's what I like. I like it to be.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
One of my questions is, what is magic?
That's a very hard question. Magic's different for different people. I mean, magic is nothing to do with magic could be family, friends, and all that. So that's real magic. Good days out and health and happiness. That's real magic. But if you can create moments of magic, it's special. And I think that's why people have magicians, their wedding on the most special day of their life, or at a corporate function when you're trying to promote something, and if you see someone who does something good, is memorable, has a nice personality as well, I mean, it's nothing better, is it? It's just it takes us back to being kids.
When was the last time you see a trick which blew your mind?
You see it all the time. That's the thing. You never stop learning. And if I don't think there's one magician who could genuinely. There's some very knowledgeable people, and some are sort of more designers and creators of magic rather than performers. I like to think myself as both, really. But for some of them, they're watching, and there's very little you could think could blow them away. But people are coming up with things all
New
the time.
things, yeah.
And,
original things.
actually, there's only a handful of things you can actually do in magic. In the same way in music, there's only 8 notes to play.
Right.
In magic, you can make something appear, you can make something disappear, you can make something transform, from one thing to another, or you
From
can
a diamond to a heart.
Well, look, in that trick, one trick there, we made the item appear, the card appear, the card disappear.
Transform.
And then transformed, but there's other things you do. You can defy science. Yeah, how you tear something up.
Defy science, like make something levitate.
Yeah. Or solid through solid, or something. So those are the handful of things, and then there's obviously the mentalism type of things as well.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by that stuff.
Are you?
Yeah.
Do you want to try one of those?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Well, what we've got to do is put. I don't know if we can do it here, but let's try it. Let's put 6 objects in front of any 6 objects of your choice in front of you.
Okay, 1
in a straight line.
2.
Yeah, can you put this? Is that too small?
Could be anything you like.
Yeah. We've got to put that in.
Yeah.
What is that?
1.
It's the hammer for the bell.
Oh,
But it's
of
attached.
course. All right.
Yeah. Let me put my
Oh,
phone.
but
my
my
phone.
phone.
All right. So
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
So which is number 1? Which is number 6?
That's number 1. That's number 6.
So 1, 2. What's that second thing?
That's the top off the bottle.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me just hear this. I've always wanted to do that. Okay. Right. So start with you, Ryan. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you literally just to think of any of those objects between 1 and 6. Okay.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if you know, but I perform for like football players and rugby players and stuff all around the world, and especially when there's a big group of people. Part of the fun is you go into a group of guys, all been drinking. Let's say the Barbarians rugby team, they've just come in and they're all trying to establish their personalities and stuff. So, typically I could say, you're thinking of number 1, and even if they were thinking of the number 1, they're trying to make the guy look stupid until they know he's looking, until he can do it. So what I do is I'm going to give you this dice, okay, and whatever number you're thinking of, don't show me or Darren, just let's say you're thinking of number 5, put 5 uppermost with your hand on top, and that way we can verify afterwards, okay? So we'll all look away, we won't do it. But what I'm going to do is I am going to say all the numbers. Okay, I'm going to go through all the numbers, and people have tells on their face. You know about poker, blinks and smiles and all that sort of thing. So you'll probably laugh because I look at you intently, but try not to. Okay, okay. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Well, you said you two are like brothers. You've grown up together. You know each other very well. So you would possibly have an inkling of where you think he's going on. Do you? But it's hard. He didn't really. There wasn't a great
Nothing
tell
there,
there. No.
no.
But I think I'm gonna go. Well, do you remember I rang the bell just before and I went like this because I think it's number 3. Is that right? Is that right?
Yeah.
So that's mad, isn't it? So maybe it's one. Listen, 1 and 6.
Did you implant that
Well,
by ringing that bloody bell?
Well,
That's what I was thinking.
Let's try again. It could be the same or something different. To do it. So look, it could just be luck. 1 in 6 chance. So maybe it's lucky. Try another. You could have another go. I don't mind.
Do I do it with the dice again?
Yeah. And then we can verify. It's very important you verify afterwards because I don't want people to think we've set this up or anything like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on. Let's have a look. Okay. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Do you have a good idea?
I have no idea, but I've got a number I would have guessed from looking at his face then.
Yeah? What would you think?
Would I have gone?
Yeah.
I would have gone with 2.
Would you?
Yeah.
No, see, I would have gone with 6.
Fucking hell, man. How has he done that?
Was that right? Obviously, I'd go by that direction as well.
That's mad.
How the fuck's he done
'Cause
that?
that, like, for me, that's not magic.
No, that's-
I don't think that's magic. That's nuts.
Well,
Look, 6.
what's
That
interesting?
fucking dice is speaking to you.
Yeah, we're set up. Yeah. So that's amazing, isn't it? That
That is incredible.
I think what's amazing about it is
What
the reaction, because when you get in someone's head, there's different skill sets that
yeah, but that doesn't sound like magic to me. That's
no,
like
but it's
mind reading.
but it's an interesting facet of magic, and if you could combine that, I don't want to get too heavy. Some people like Uri Geller, you mentioned before, he's made a career out of people genuinely say, is he real, is he not real, etc. And you have to believe that he's real because he believes he's real, but so if I was to do that and make claims, that I'm supernatural or can read minds,
It's hard. It's hard to say you're not.
Exactly,
Because
exactly.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's proper dumb way, isn't it? Like, all right, look, so we've gone off on one a little bit. Let's bring it back. I know you mentioned your dad, but talk to us about your upbringing, your background. So from the start.
Yeah, I mean, I was an average kid at school, but I loved sport and played a lot of football.
You're Arsenal fan, aren't you?
Big Arsenal fan. I was the first Premier League resident magician at Arsenal.
Right.
So that's one thing I would say is that if you're passionate about something, then good things can happen to you. Whatever you do in life, good things can happen to you. And I was always passionate about magic and about football and about Arsenal and music. And if I think of my life now, I'm very, very lucky because my passions have come together to create things.
Yeah.
And I actually don't feel I'm not chasing. I've obviously worked hard throughout my life, and I've got a team of people I work with now and stuff, and it's great. And it's the rewards come as you develop. If you're passionate, people want to be associated with people that are passionate about what they do. And
Feel it, yeah.
And I think that's really important. So for me, I was, as I said, when my dad, let's say, although he was a famous magician, me and my brother would probably enjoy, playing football, meeting girls, doing whatever you do as a young kid, but it's only when I saw that magic can really help, it was quite interesting, got me to the front of a queue in a nightclub, or could do something like, blow them away. You think, wow, this is quite powerful.
Can you remember that moment?
Well, actually, the first time I really happened to me was I was in school, age 16 or so, and my dad was launching this book and these special cards he was doing, and he had an assistant who was going with him to a magic convention in Lyon in France, and that guy fell ill, and my mum called the school, and I had to come out of school in boring geography
to go and be his
assistant for this thing in France, in Lyon. And while he was lecturing, we had this stand, with his books on. It was right at the back of this place, and being cheeky entrepreneurial kid and stuff, I thought, let's get it to the front. So I put it right in the front where everyone was going up and down stairs and escalators and stuff in this convention centre. And they had these special cards that you saw me flicking the cards like that, but this was a way of helping people. You could do some unbelievable what we call flourishes, we can make them go up and down and all. And I was doing this, and all of a sudden I looked, I had a huge crowd of people, and they think, wow, these were seasoned magicians thinking, wow, this kid's good, and so that gave me a lot of encouragement about showmanship and presentation and self-belief, really, and so I always had that, but sort of reserved it for a while. And
when you say you always had it, what you feel like you were born that way?
No, but I always. I think I was, if I had the right tools, I was confident in what I can do. It's like if you can sing or play the piano or you can box or whatever you want to do. If you feel you're competent, you can manage it.
Yeah, but in analysing, my own boxing career and Darren's and like other people in their drive to get to where they've got, like there's nearly always certain catalysts and inspirers that make you be you, like early on. Yeah. And like I know that your dad was a survivor of Nazi Germany and obviously had this massive character, because he'd come away from that at the age of 11, decided to go back in the military, want to fight against the Nazis, and then become this massive personality as a magician, this man of mystery, and you're the son of that.
Yeah,
like,
it must have an effect. I'm sure genes and your influence of parents and stuff, I'm sure has a massive influence, and you maybe don't realise it at the time, but my dad was away a lot while we were kids, touring and doing all sorts of things, but
touring as a magician.
And so we sort of were, I don't want to say left on our own a lot, but we just got on with things, and it didn't really think much about it. But it's only when I look back at some of the advice and things he said, and we're very much on the same wavelength. He either loves something or hates something, or a talent or whatever. And I think a lot of what he's done, I think I do know the difference between good and bad magic, and magic had a bad reputation for a while, being all the sort of glitzy rabbits and still, silvery sort of stuff back in the 70s or 80s, and then it became cool with people like David Blaine doing street magic stuff, and I had an eye for what was needed. Hamleys at the time, I was a demonstrator in Hamleys, one of my first jobs, when I was
a magic demonstrator.
No, this was a product which I was always quite good at art and craft and that sort of stuff, and we had, and as I say, fairly entrepreneurial. We had the rights for this product called the Magic Drawing Board, which was you probably remember it when you were a kid. It was a black board you could draw and the colours could come through, and you'd wipe it away, and then I
remember Etch-a-Sketch. It's
not quite. It's thinner, and it was, it was a black product which with colours, rainbow colours.
Yeah, it does ring a bell.
It was an old product when I got it, but I had the rights for it.
Right.
And we had a chance. We got right by the front door at Hamleys demonstrating. And through pure enthusiasm, I was just demonstrating it and became the top demonstrator, and it became the top product in the store. Purely because this was a cold February, not many people in the store. So all the other staff, hands around, it's quiet today, not many people in, etc. Whereas there was all the activity around the front. And therefore, people tend to mill where there's things going on to watch things, and so that was a brilliant thing it taught me people skills, it taught me all sorts of things, and I use that product as an analogy which helped me in many different ways. Ironically, we went on to sell a lot of those products.
Did you believe in that product, or did you just think, I'm going to earn some money out of this?
No, I actually did believe it. I think I brought it to life, and I mean, just in terms of determination, I remember going to so we got it into Hamleys, and it was doing really well, and then took it to Harrods, and they had a very old snooty buyer for the toy department back in those days. Remember, I'm an 18, 19-year-old kid, and he literally looks at it, and he picks it up with a pair of tweezers, and he puts it in the bin. He goes, not that old stinker, he goes, because I thought, so I could have got demoralised and thought, but on the contrary, what it made me more determined, because we got a pitch in the art and craft department on the ground floor, right in front of Knightsbridge, which was a much, busier place, and we've pretty much been in that store ever since. That's 40 odd years ago, and it's really strange, as I've sort of made my name in the industry, and that product went on to sell literally millions of units over the years. Could tell you a whole load of story about that. But I saw once, as this guy was retiring, I saw he got another job with another toy company. He was dusting the shelves, and I just thought, it taught me you got to look after people on the way up, because I didn't like being spoken to like that, and it probably made me more determined. You've got to be respectful for people.
So you're 18, 19, you're selling that product in Hamleys. What was your goal then? What was your dream? Was it making money? Was it selling those products, or was it to be a magician at that point?
No, it probably wasn't to be a magician at that point. It was, I don't know. It was just.
You strike me as like a bit of a Del boy back then, right? Selling the thing at the side of the pub.
It's
like,
a bit of a
ducker and diver as opposed to a budding magician.
Not really. I mean, it was Hamleys used to be very famous for selling magic years and years ago, and because I suppose this is the one advantage I did have, that the then buyer said, you must know about magic, because she obviously knew about my dad, and said, we used to sell a lot of magic. We haven't really got anything good. What do you reckon? And to me, that was a light bulb moment. I saw that as an entrepreneurial thing. I thought, well, I had earned the reputation being the number one demonstrator in the store to say, give me a few months, let me put something together. And I researched and designed and put my thinking creative head to come up with really nice packaging, put the stuff in like red tissue box, red tissue paper to make it feel good, great instructions. It's quite naive when I look back, standardized boxes as long as things could fit into that box, and then put great demonstrators to sell those and made them demonstrable products. We launched that in 6 stores, 6 Hamley stores around the country, and it went really well from day one.
Because I remember when I was a kid, the only product was Paul Daniels. He had a box, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. This was just after that sort of time.
It was after
just
it, was
after.
it?
Yeah, well, we launched in '87, so there might have been an overlap in toy stores, but we actually had quite a substantial range.
So you was the end of the Paul Daniels. You put the knife in.
No, not at all. Don't say it. In fact, I still speak to Debbie. She's a very good friend of the family, and Paul was always very kind to us. When we launched Harrods, he came and made an appearance on the roof.
So like, you've had this idea. You're going to create a box of magic stuff,
or a range of stuff.
Range of stuff, and how did you get that manufactured? Like, you're an 18-year-old kid. Like,
yeah, I was actually a bit older then, but I was. I designed the little logo. I enjoyed doing that, and I went to a box manufacturer. You find ways of doing. You become resourceful. For whatever you do. And I just knew that we want to do it differently from how it's been done, and always went. I think I've learned something. Quality always works. You can. If you go. Over the years, as we grew, we went from these demonstration stores. Then we finally got into the likes of Boots and Argos and Tesco, Sainsbury's, all those sort of places. Yeah. And we then had, like a team of sales guys, and one of the guys was really, we got to sell it cheap so we can get it here, and he brought the quality and the price down, and it didn't feel what I'd really thought.
Not believing in it.
And actually that was a not a good time for the company by comparison to the beginning, which was all the way up, and what it is now, where it's been really, progressing beautifully. And because I think quality is really important whatever you do, and it doesn't need to be expensive quality, just be well thought out. And
I think for you it's an extension of you, and
absolutely.
you need to believe in it to be able to effortlessly sell it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Otherwise you're selling something you don't really.
Yeah, and I actually selling, that's quite a good thing as well. I actually never feel like I'm selling. I feel like I'm advising you. So your kids, this, okay, I reckon this would be the best for them because, in the same way, and that's so much more believable if someone is giving you that advice as opposed to, trying to make a quick buck.
He must have been over the moon. So all of this is going on. You've manufactured this magic. Your dad must be sat home thinking, son's doing all right here.
It's really strange. Where literally has come from where he's, and he's obviously getting on, and we talk about this a lot, and it's only. He's only a handful of times in his life really told me that he's proud of me, and I just only found out recently that his dad never really told him he was proud of him. He was telling me that, and so it's, I think that generation was a lot more reserved.
Was it almost like an apology, like sorry I haven't said it so much? I never had it.
No, I mean maybe that was the catalyst for it, but he actually. When I think about when he said it to me 2 days ago, which was, and I see my mum was sitting there because he was not well. He was in hospital at the time, Right. So, and my mum literally had a tear in her eye when she said it. But what there's 3 times I can think about it. And the best one was that I told you about this book that he'd written, that which a really big thing, and it was all about his life and adventure. And he said, I was walking, the final part of that, the final story to that was, I was walking in Regent's Park, and this rather pretty young girl was eyeing at me for a distance. She had a short skirt, and so I sucked my stomach in and sort of my chest out, and thinking, why is she looking at me? Why she looks like she's going to approach me? Why is she doing that? Was it because I was on TV all this time doing this, that, the other? Was it because I was president of the Magic Circle? And then she finally came up and said, are you really the father of Marvin Berglas? And that was a great way to finish the story, finishes. But that was his way of telling me his pride.
Yeah.
But and
do you think that worked for you as a sort of like a motivator, like sort of that tough love in a way, like not.
No, I don't. I don't. I think he has been proud. I'm certainly proud of him. But I think what's happened is we both gone a different direction to get to the top, which is really nice. And obviously, as I said, the merchandise side of things is probably what I was best known for. I mean, obviously, when I'm performing and stuff like that, hopefully, I'll make a big impact doing that. But when I'm most people would know Marvin's Magic for the merchandise.
I suppose I mean more as a person, like you. So you've got this dad who you think's brilliant, and he's a legend in his own right, and yet he's not forthcoming in saying, I'm proud of you, son, even though you're doing great things yourself. And that has probably fueled your fire to keep driving, and has it installed a certain way in you that you'd say is a good thing, or do you wish you heard it more? Or have you got kids?
I've got twin boys. Yeah, they're now 23.
And with your boys, like, do you all like always saying how proud you are of them?
Yeah, I am. I think this generation, I think we are much more expressive probably than our parents were, and there's a lot more cuddles and all that sort of stuff going on. I mean, I know your kids go away from you for a while and stuff, and they never think you're cool, but actually they do. When they're very young, enjoy all the cuddles. Bottle it all up, because there's a time where you're really not cool, but then it comes back. For example, for me, one of my lads, he's a big Arsenal fan, and I really enjoy going to the games with him. And as I said, I'm very lucky that my passion has opened the door for me in many different ways. And as I said, I was Arsenal's resident magician, first Premier League magician, so I used to do all the match day hospitality and got to know all the key players during the Invincible time and did their celebration. When they won the double and stuff like that, I did those parties for those guys and their weddings and all that sort of stuff. So I've made lifelong friends through Arsenal, and let's say music is another one. I'm a bit of an 80s soul boy, so I love Shalimar, for example. Jeffrey Daniel, Jim probably don't even know who that is, but that was a big band for me growing up. Yeah. And I'm their magic consultant. I can't believe it. They do gigs, at Palladium or at festivals and stuff, and they use some of my magic, to enhance the show. So that to me is brilliant. But the point I was going to make was, so I was doing this thing for Sky Sports where I think it's Soccer Saturday or whatever. Arsenal were playing, I think, Liverpool, and it's the week before the game, and so they brought the captain, Martin Ødegaard, and the keeper, Aaron Ramsdale, to my house and filmed a segment before the game, and which was going to go, which I was doing magic to them, and it was all that sort of thing. It was edited with their magic, and my son was in the room watching it with all the camera crew and the people and them going mad, and it was just, he's thinking, oh, this is quite cool. So it probably does. Do you remember those moments with you and your dad? Absolutely.
Dad's a bit of a face, actually.
It is, because your dad's your dad, at home and stuff like that. But there are I'm proud of him, and hopefully they're proud of me and stuff. But I think you do it because you have a self motivation to do whatever you do. I don't think as much as your parents push you or don't push you. I think you've got it within you. If you want to do something, I mean, to do anything, you need to be self-motivated.
You've got to have a passion for it yourself, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, it's an extra drive, because there are, in any sport or any talent or whatever, there's a lot of people who, let's say as boxers, you guys can look brilliant in front of 99.9% of the population if you were just to have a little, spar or something like that. But, there's elite guys around you who, there's a different thing. A different level, and there's always someone who's going to be better than you. Always, but it's the same with magic, really. And but for me, it wasn't. I found sometimes some of the gigs that I was getting, it was people were buying into you more than it was actually, the specific trick. There might be people who've forgotten more than I know, but it's all about the personality and the environment and the people.
Yeah, but I suppose I'm talking about that drive that makes you make this huge company, Marvin's Magic, or become the president of the Magic Circle. Like this drive in you that's pushing to become the top of the field. Yeah. Like if you in your heart felt you were good enough and your dad was proud of you and you felt that more you really felt that, then maybe you wouldn't have that fire that was in you. That's how that's my kind of theory anyway. That this fire is a need to prove yourself.
I think.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think there's something in that, because as the business has evolved and you delegate various things. When you start something yourself, you used to do everything.
Yeah.
And then as you get more successful, you have experts and people that you empowered and you've trained, and they hopefully do it your way, and then you leave them to it and just work with them occasionally. But so as I was becoming, I suppose, more successful, and I actually had more time than less time.
Yeah.
And I could have easily just taken it a little bit easier.
That's what I mean.
Why
didn't you?
And I was thinking, most people would say, well, that's the ultimate.
Put
to
your
have
feet up,
time
yeah.
and put your feet up. But I actually chose to. I'm now almost got this full-time, which is voluntary role, where I'm actually giving back and having
the presidency.
Yeah,
Did you think that's the pressure of your family name, what your dad done, not letting him down, and the work he'd done for years and years?
Well, certainly,
subconsciously, maybe.
I don't know. Possibly, I hadn't really thought of it like that, Darren. But maybe there is something in that. I mean, certainly, it will help his legacy, and we got some fabulous press where they're saying, it's the dynasty of the name and all that sort of stuff. But it was an ambition to do that, and it had to work to get to that stage, and it's hard work, but I want to enjoy it, and I think it's, it could be a real pain if you make it, but I think it's all about communication, and I think there's a lot of politics that could get involved. I don't want to try and avoid all that. I think if you speak to people openly, honestly, and with passion, I think you can get a lot of things done.
Yeah. I almost I look at my little boy, and I feel like with my theory, I feel like if I wanted to, I could make him be a winning machine by withholding that kind of love and tenderness, and not being so like, I'm so proud of you, you're amazing, like I love you and all that stuff. Like if I withheld some of that, like maybe he would be like more driven. I don't know how he's going to end up, but in telling him, I want him to end up like satisfied with life. Do you know what I mean? Just tend to the flowers in his garden and be satisfied with that.
Yeah.
Instead of being like me, which is I just need to fucking win. I need to be the best. Otherwise, it ain't worth doing. I almost want him to feel like, it's going a bit deep here, but I just want him. I want him to feel like. I want him to know that.
Imagine he didn't have that drive though. Imagine he was just he wasn't striving for anything.
So what if he's happy and he knows he's worth it?
True.
So
I think the chase is fun though, isn't it? I always remember. I mentioned Del Boy earlier, and I know this is, he was always striving for the pound note, money.
Yeah.
But he was saying when he got that money, when he sold that watch, and he had millions.
Next year we can be billionaires.
He was gutted though, wasn't he?
Yeah.
It was the chase.
Yeah.
It was the chase. He loved getting up in the morning and making money, and that's a buzz.
I think maybe that's what you're sort of liking in Marvin too. It's like you can see that sort of, even if you've made it, you ain't made it. Because you.
Yeah, he still
what's
lives
next?
Yeah. I suppose we do care what people think, don't we? Really,
Yeah.
And
that's my point. That's my point. In simple terms, that's my point. I want my son to not care.
Yeah.
I want him to know that he's good enough.
Well, when you go to, one of my lads was a really good player, and we took him to the academy and stuff for a while, and you can see that the parents on the side, it was their meal ticket really to get their lad to try, and it was it was such pressure for those guys. It must be, but I think it. We know in sport that it's talent, but it's also a certain inner drive, isn't it? Because they've got to, when you've got the temptation of drink or girls or whatever it is, they know there's no peer pressure. They totally focused. You guys,
funny one. I've seen it. I've just watched the Beckham, 2 episodes of it, and there's on one side, I don't know if you've seen it. His dad was extremely pushy and hard on him. Didn't give him much. Have you seen it, right? Yeah. But then on the flip side, you think, well, look what it's created. Like you say, Ryan. Yeah. It's a weird one. Like I think he asked his dad. Or no, someone ask him.
It's almost like you're programmed to become what your dad or your mum appreciate, and you knew your dad appreciates magic and the art of magic, and even though them early years you didn't really want to be a magician, somehow you've ended up on that road.
Did your boys dabble with it at all?
One of them is quite handy, but again, I think he went through a phase, and I think he's going to pick it up again now. And the other lad, as he's sort of now gone into work, he knows that presentations and things like that, it's actually quite useful. So I'm sure he'd love to have a couple of tricks up his sleeves,
Can one's child take over a magician's empire? I mean, you sort of...
Well, he has.
Yeah, I know. But what now would your kids do? Because you created these magic boxes, etc.
Yeah.
Something that your dad hadn't done.
Yeah.
What can your kids do to keep it going if they wanted to?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, there's no pressure on my side for them to do that at all. And I do... as I wrote you write this presidential column in the magazine, and I said, being the first father and son, I looked at my lads and thought, no pressure, guys, but it really, I don't know. I mean, things have changed, things move on. I mean, there's, app development is, and technology and things like, and graphic design. There's a whole area that we haven't really... it's probably your kids are probably going to end up doing stuff that
online
that
all
doesn't exist now. We didn't know, but we were looking back
holograms and all sorts.
We were looking back working at Woolworths or Blockbuster Video. They're all changed now.
It's gone. Yeah.
Do you think, just mentioning technology there, has technology ruined magic? To a degree.
No, not at all. I think they go hand in hand, because it's always one stage ahead of technology. Yeah, and I think as you said, with things like even the set that I've got down here, which is a Marvin's Eye Magic set, something we came up with the props are great anyway. But if we have a Marvin's Magic app, and if you incorporate some of those tricks with the app, there's augmented reality. There's bonus tricks where you can do. I mean, I'd love to show you. I don't know how it would look on there, but it's amazing stuff, Yeah. So is that my phone? Yeah, I don't know if I've got. I'll turn my phone off. We'll maybe do it afterwards, but
yeah. Just quickly going back to why was it that the Magic Circle, I don't know the word, accepted what you were doing as a legitimate in the terms of not exposing magic?
Well, the word exposure for magic is different from selling magic, if you like, because exposure magic would be, let's say, if I went into the newspapers and I put, sawing lady in half, this is how it's done, and that's giving away secrets.
Yeah.
But for someone to get into magic, you've got to start somewhere, and you normally would start it with a magic set is the first way, which someone has to buy. So that's your pay barrier, that they've actually had to go out and buy it, read the instructions, then learn how to do it.
Yeah.
That's different from just going into newspaper or TV, this is how it's done. The same way as getting a book out of the library or buying a book, because you've actually had to go past that barrier to do something active to get to it.
But I'm assuming that in buying a set, you get an instruction manual that says this is how you do it.
But you've made a commitment.
You've invested into the industry,
and then you've invested into it, and you've invested into the reading.
So I'm part of the Magic Circle then, because I brought a box.
No,
I'm in then.
Well, you're in the magic community, absolutely, and a hobbyist at this stage, and hopefully. But if you go to the next stage and want to get into it, then there are various degrees and levels you can go.
And to get into the Magic Circle, you have to go through. You have to do a display.
You have to be proposed
Circle.
and seconded by other magicians. So there's lots of magic clubs around the world.
So you have to be invited first of all.
Well, no, yes, you do, and then you would. Then you would.
How many have to invite you?
Two, yeah. So it's two existing members, and then you used to have an interview first. And it's a crazy situation. It's not a secret society, but it's a society.
It sounds like it, yeah.
Yeah, but it's if you like, the foremost magic organisation in the world, and we've got an amazing building which has got a museum, fantastic museum, a collection of unbelievable.
Yeah, I was looking at it
artifacts.
online. It's beautiful.
Yeah, and
beautiful place, isn't it?
they've got
A prison
fanta-
for the people who give away secrets. Right, bang him up.
They've got
Prison with no floor.
they've got a library which we call it the House of 10,000 Secrets, and then upstairs, you wouldn't believe it, above the club room and the Devant room is a theatre for 160 very
I saw
intimate
it. It
theatre.
looks amazing.
Oh, and there's a library that
Yeah.
tells you tricks.
There's more books probably written about magic than you would. They're magic. It's magic for magicians.
All right, so that can't go outside the circle.
Not really. It would be within the magic fraternity, and there's so you would not believe how much stuff is written and stuff. And magic's
So
really
interesting.
good. Magic is really good that you want to be able to acknowledge the forefathers and where a trick came from. And in fact, there's only about 5 tricks in the whole world that have got a magician's name in it. And the Berglas effect, which is my dad's trick, which is unbelievable.
card trick, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
basically a pack of cards on the table like that, and he would say to you, think of any card, and you'd say what the card is. So let's just say whatever. You'd say, let's just say 4 of clubs or whatever, and you'd say, give me a number between 1 and 52. And you'd say 36 or something. And then literally, without touching the cards, you would open the box, count down to the 36th card, and it would be that
card?
Yeah. So that's we call it the holy grail of magic. That's the Berglas effect. Any card at any number.
And there's only 5 tricks that have got a magician's name
I
attached.
can only think of them. Yeah, there's 3 or 4 moves and stuff like that. And so for him to have that is quite exceptional. But the point I was going to make was that in magic we are very good, or we try to be very good at acknowledging where something's come from. So unlike like comedians when they're pinching material all the time, you don't want to be it's a shame if you do that. Whereas if someone's made up that joke, you in the same made up the trick, you would know. People should know where it came from and originated from, and they try
Pay
to
homage
acknowledge
to where it
yeah,
came from.
Yeah. And they try very hard to do that. And that's the difference as well. There are magic things for sale where you can be just performing the tricks and they work automatically, or that's what I'd call a karaoke magician, because he's actually just performing, almost
Regurgitating.
the tricks, almost the stuff in the boxes that we sell, for example, compared to a singer-songwriter who would be actually inventing his own little splay on.
Believe it or not, boxing is the same. You've got an original style, and then got someone who has taken the peekaboo from whoever. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like those great fighters, like a Mike Tyson, would always pay homage to the people that he watched and learned from.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's a very similar thing.
So, okay, right. This is where I'm going to just ask you so many questions about the Magic Circle. So your job is your title rather is the president
of the Magic Circle. Yeah.
Right. First off, if somebody gives away a secret, are they booted out of the Magic Circle?
Pretty much, yeah. We have an exposure committee and a disciplinary committee, all that sort of stuff. So it would have to go through
so
that.
they'd be summoned to the office.
Sure. And people have been kicked out, and including some well-known people who've done stuff on TV. They would have to be, because our motto is a Latin term which roughly translates as not apt to reveal the secrets, and that's a big thing. And in fact, on any one of our Marvin's Magic boxes, we always say fellow magicians agree never to reveal these secrets.
Do you know how many members have been a part of the Magic Circle?
There's about 1,700.
And how many have been kicked out? Do you know?
In the history, I would say less than 10 or something like that.
Serious?
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that
but,
it?
But funny enough, including one of the very first presidents.
Really?
Yeah, because he was a very famous. I'm not entirely sure on my accuracy on the history. I need to learn up on this. But there's 2 very well-known magicians who were the forefathers of British magic: David Devant and John Neville Maskelyne, and they did these big shows, in theatres around London and stuff. And whilst David Devant started the Magic Circle, I think, and I hope I haven't got it wrong, but he had exposed something, so he had to be kicked out.
And so for you, like in the Magic Circle, is he the equivalent of a grass?
No, because I know what
it's the equivalent of a grass.
I suppose that's what it would be. there was the big case some years ago of a guy in America called the Masked Magician. I don't know if you ever remember that. Who was giving away secrets. This is, they
really?
never revealed who he was, and he had a mask on, and he was saying, "This is how they do the tricks." And the magic fraternity was up in arms because he was giving away what seemed really great secrets. But
he disappeared.
But it was massive. It was a massive thing at the time, and people were trying.
So would
to
the
stop
Magic
him.
Circle be trying to find out who he is?
Yeah, we did find out who he was.
You did, and boot him out. Obviously, so he was one of the 10.
He wasn't. He was not a member. He was the guy from America or Mexico or something like that. But he got a lot of money from from a American TV channel to do so, and he did 1 or 2 series. But what I would say, and I've learned, and we found out subsequently, that even if you saw a great explanation of how something was done the night before, and I did that, or not I, a good magician did that very same trick to you the next day, you probably wouldn't put 2 and 2 together.
Oh, because it's a variation of it.
No, just the presentation more so, right. And you don't, or let's just say, I don't know. There's, and some of the methods this guy was giving was pretty, extravagant and not necessarily the key ones. For example, let's just say, I don't know, levitating someone. Well, you need a hoist and a forklift and a this, that, the other, and you need to be rigged up like this, and all very well. But imagine someone's getting £100 to do that in an old age people's home on the 5th floor. He's not going to have all that.
I don't remember how I learned it. I think it was David Blaine though. Like this, just like you've got one foot the other side of the other, and like you go up on one. It looks like you levitated a bit.
That's called the Balducci levitation.
Would that be seen as exposing the truth?
Well, where did you find that out, for example?
It must have been on TV.
It became, So when he did that first,
getting him in trouble.
no, he did that first. What was really good, his feature was very much focusing on the audience's reaction as opposed to his reaction, and they were super reactions. I
remember. By watching it on TV, it looked like he levitated about that far.
Well,
off
that's
the floor.
the thing. What actually happened? What probably actually happened was that he did that first Balducci levitation, which takes you a little bit off the floor, and then they probably
camera
had,
trick.
They
See,
probably
that's
had something
where
else.
I went with the question about technology, because then everyone can start saying, "Oh, they've edited it, they've changed it." It's a magic.
I thought that last night. I was watching a magic show last night because I had you on. I was just writing stuff and watching magic, and it's like this guy was sort of had a spoon and he's like. The spoons levitating in between his hands, you know what I mean? But it looked like it was superimposed, you know what I mean?
Even like Dynamo walking on the Thames.
Yeah.
Right? Obviously ain't happening. That obviously you're not walking on water. So for me, it's doing magic a bit of injustice. I mean, that's silly.
No, he made a huge impact with that, and that full credit to him and to his team at the time. For me, one of the most impressive things about that particular illusion, and by the way, his shoes that he used are in the museum at the Magic Circle on there, so that's the type of thing you'd see in there. But was just to get the permission. To in that space right opposite the House of Commons and on that bridge to actually do that,
perform that,
and how it was coordinated, and the thoughts and energy that must have gone in behind it. It looked very organic, and it's probably a lot of preparation, but it was one of the key moments of magic. It was great.
I say he didn't walk in walker. It
looked like he did, didn't it?
Yeah, it looked like it. I still couldn't tell you he'd done it.
Exactly.
Even
that's
that
the point,
is impressive
though, that's the point
in itself.
And Marvin ain't going to tell you.
All right, but okay then. So back to Magic Circle. So say if you're in the Magic Circle, and you're sat with, say, me and Ryan are magicians. Do you talk about each other's tricks?
That's one of the great things.
So are you entitled to find out how someone does a trick? Should they share that trick?
Well, that's to me, that's one of the best things about the Magic Circle. You are people who've literally just starting out in magic, who pass their exams, could be rubbing shoulders with some of the elite in magic. Maybe the person who's designed that trick or performed that trick or whatever. And ultimately, it's all about yourself, personalities, and if you're a nice person and you get to know people and stuff, then you are in this sort of inner circle, if you like, where as your trust is taken and you're part of the gang and stuff, you do talk, and that's how you learn a lot. And I can imagine, let's just say, we were close mates and you've been boxing all this time and you've got a few of your own tricks, and I'm sure you pass on a couple of little things, and that's exactly how it works. The same.
Yeah, as Repton, we grew up at Repton, and we'd all be sort of, not it's not tricks, but you're just sharing ideas,
tiny little thing. If it makes it 1% better, 5% better, those are great things, and it's an honour and a privilege that people can teach you certain things, because to read from a book how to do things is actually quite difficult. The books, you've got to be quite technical, right? And every part of your fingers have got different names, like put your left phalanx of your right finger on the to get the card. It's very bloody technical. Hard, very hard to do, and the same I'm sure in boxing and something. But if someone shows you, it's so much easier and stuff like that.
And the more you practice, the more you understand. Yeah. It's an art, isn't it?
It is an art.
It's really an art.
Yeah.
I find that amazing. I really do. I think the whole magic circle fascinates me. I think it fascinates so many, because it is like this. Do you have a secret handshake?
No, we don't.
It was that
was the Masons, wasn't
it? The Masons, that's it.
It has that trouser leg rolled up.
It has that. People think of it like that, but it's actually a very friendly, nice place.
Sorry, Mark. There's only, did you say 17,000 or 1,700? 1,700 across the world.
Yeah, and then this is the more interesting. So you now start off. You can become an apprentice. And then they sort of you have to do your exam by a certain time, and then you become a member of the Magic Circle, and then you become, the next thing is, if you pass a more higher exam, become an associate of the Inner Magic Circle, and then the ultimate thing to get is a member of the Inner Magic Circle.
So you're a member of the Inner Circle.
And there's always less than 300 of those worldwide. And what's
How
really
many?
amazing, less than 300 worldwide, and that's the ultimate that everyone's trying to get to. And as president, this is quite, on my show, it's only the president who can give those out.
Oh, really? So that person has to come to you, and
they don't come to me. I've got to be looking and thinking, and I have a council that I would suggest to. And
it's about time he was brought in, sort of thing.
So I had the pleasure of doing my first two for last week.
And
actually,
what would be the criteria for someone to enter that? Is there more than just magic? Is it like your ability to I don't know, flourish as a businessman and stuff like that?
I mean, there's two things. If you're doing stuff for the club, let's say, and organising things, and that's one thing. But to get an Inner Magic Circle with Gold Star, that's for performance. So that's the ultimate, what you really want to be able to get, Right.
And do you still perform now? Do you go on tour and stuff?
No, I don't go on tour, but I'm lucky enough to be able to pick and choose the sort of stuff I do. I've still got, like as I said, occasionally doing some of these top corporate things and doing a lot of VIP and celebrity type parties, which I enjoy. But these days, a lot of my performance might be relating. Let's just say we had the buyers of Tesco came round to our studio and showroom. It's a similar sort of thing. If you're talking about boxing, you want to show here we've got a studio, and clearly, if I can impress them, it's the rewards potentially, if they go with our stuff, is much bigger than just, let's say, if I was working in a wedding or something like that.
So you're spending your energy in the right ways.
But and I'm still enjoying learning and performing, and
I guess that leads on to the question I was about to ask. What's the goals and aspirations and the purpose now moving forward when you've completed so much, but you just said it there, you still have a passion to learn and.
Yeah, and you're, we in show business, you're only as good as your last show. So for example, you need that buzz. You want to do a bit more, and you enjoy the buzz. When it goes well, it's nothing better. I'm sure.
Do you get nervous? Do you get nervous when you perform? Would you call it perform?
Yeah. You get nervous if you're underprepared, or if you've only got one chance of doing something a little bit. I think. Not nerves, but I think a bit of adrenaline is good for you to have, and the type of stuff I like to do tends to be a little bit special for that occasion. So I try to do personalised tricks and effects, if you like. I like to call them effects rather than tricks or illusions, and you get one chance at it. And if you get it right, it's fantastic, and just sometimes you can't always get it right. So you've got to be able to adapt and move.
How many tricks off the top of the head do you think you know? Like, because I imagine it could be a little bit like jokes. I can literally remember 2 jokes.
Yeah.
I've been told so many, and at one point I did probably know 100.
Yeah.
But I could only tell you 2 jokes.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. That's another thing my dad taught me. He said, learn a few tricks really well, then lots badly. And that's a good adage, really, because I personally, I would say I have maybe 30 or 40 in my repertoire, and you could be working really, really hard at one effect, which is so complicated, and you finally get to feel it's suitable, that you put it out there in your show, and it might not get as good a reaction as something you've been doing before. So it probably didn't make it in, even though the thing that did get a better reaction might have been easier to perform.
Yeah.
So there's no real correlation. It's whatever feels right for you. And some magicians have made a career with just a handful of tricks, that they're repeating, but they're doing constantly. They know inside out every nuance, and every beat is really important, and the likely reactions and how you come back from good or bad, or any comment, anything going wrong, any selection. So that's one thing. But then there's like kids now who are just getting stuff off the internet, and they're technically amazing, some of these kids, and they've learned, and they probably know, because of access to information, they're probably as good as the masters of yesteryear in terms of sleight of hand or ability and that type of thing. What they've learned, they blow me away. But you put them on stage or in a bit tough corporate environment, and they'll probably die on their ass. Because
that's something I noticed about your dad, because I watched a few videos of your dad, and he's just got this kind of calm, grounded confidence that, and he's not an entertaining personality.
He is, but he's not a showy person.
That's what I mean. Yeah, that's what I mean.
He's authoritative.
Yeah, he brings you in
hypnotic,
rather than out. Yeah.
But rather like that sounds more real to me. Is what he's got, his products, his magic. But I mean, just what's blowing your mind.
Yeah. But just as a presence, Dale, like when he comes on screen, like he's not expelling energy, he's bringing you in. Do you know what I mean? He's bringing
that's
you in,
right.
like,
some people, I mean, there's so many different styles, isn't there? But some people, we've all seen so many entertainers, and you can tell when someone's just trying a bit too hard, or just just the slight difference between amateur and professional. So I just think it's very important to always be yourself, and hopefully practice and perfect. And
would you give yourself a kind of style? Like, is there a certain style that you are?
I leave that to what did you think the style was? Having seen the, I don't know. I mean, it's, I'll ask you.
All right then, okay. We have a question on here, and it's about legacy. And how would you want your magic remembered? Well, okay, first your magic, and then you yourself. Maybe we can get an indication of the style then.
Yeah. We didn't answer the question, so that's making me get nervous now. Thinking, was it that bad?
No. I was just trying to help you answer the question.
Yeah. No, I'm sort of self-deprecating style. Not self-deprecating, but
understated.
Understated.
Oh, that's what I would say.
Yeah, I like to think, I've been told that I'm fairly understated.
Self-deprecating is a bit harsh.
Yeah, sorry, okay, but I like to think it's hard-hitting magic. It's good. It's strong magic.
You let the magic do the talking.
And the fact that I'm not too flamboyant or too showy is sort of my personality of being, probably true to my personality.
Another thing is, you don't strike me to look like a magician as some do. Do you know what I mean? Some have got that typical kind of, the way they dress is a little bit eccentric. They've got the goatee, and maybe they've got a little bit of a and you just you look like anyone could on the street. You wouldn't know.
I've ripped to pieces here.
No, I don't mean that. I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean it in an understated way.
To me, that's
I mean,
I'll take that as a compliment.
Yeah, it's like you're understated. You wouldn't know that what you've got up your sleeve, basically.
Yeah.
Whereas your dad has a bit more of a
I mean,
look.
in those days, you know, when he was starting in Variety, you know, he was learning. He was doing 6 shows a day, 6 days a week at venues like the Windmill Theatre, and then he moves on to, you know, the theatrical play, because they always say change your audience, not your act. You could do a brilliant act, you know, and then just move it around. Obviously nowadays it's much harder if you're on TV or something like that. You know, the first time you've seen this magician or comedian or whatever, that's fantastic. You know, you got to see this kid, watch him, he's great. And they see him and say, that's really good. And the next time you say, yeah, that's good, but I've heard that one. You know, what's new? And so they eat material up. So it's
when you're on and you're performing and like it does go a bit flat, like you haven't quite nailed it. How does that feel? Like, would you see that as a loss? Like, you didn't win that fight. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'd be very disappointed. And probably as a entertainer, you are able to cover it most of the time. So in other words, we're like a swan, you know, flapping underneath, lots going out. You know, lots of things could be changing or whatever, you know, and you'd have to move it into a different direction, and the ability to look like it hasn't really gone wrong.
Adapt fast.
It would, you know, people don't know the answer or the premise of what's happening, so they haven't got anything to compare it to. It's not like you're, you know,
what's
singing
the
a song.
outcome supposed to be.
So you can adapt and change. I mean, you know, the classic example was say that I did a chat show, I think, with my dad or something, and then there was, I use this as an example where he was doing something, and then I was quite new to it, and right at the end I was given my moment and had a card chosen, and someone in the audience could reach under your seat, get the card, and let's say it was the 4 of hearts, and they said 5 of clubs. You know, it wasn't, it was the 4 of hearts, but they were mucking about, and then the guy's going 10, 9, 8. So, you know, I was going to look stupid, so I had to frantically find and there's the correct card, you know. Your heart's going like that, and it's annoying but you learn from instances of that type to have what we call outs, you know, to be able to do this and this if it goes wrong.
But in those early years when you did hit the wall and you hadn't learned the out, like, how did that feel for you? Like,
I can't, you know, I've come back from 1 or 2 shows disappointed, especially more that I've let myself down, or the people in the audience or whatever. But I would say it was never a real, I can't think of, thank God, of a real failure. But but it does, you always want to be the best you possibly can. And I think with magic, performing magic, for me, what I have learned is less is more, and you've got to learn when to perform magic, and more importantly, when not to perform magic. Because it's, you know, it's like you know, Dan, we were at a function, sat together and stuff, and there was a lot of things going around us, and it's an interesting conversation if you sat next to a magician compared to sat next to someone who sells insurance. Sorry for anybody out there who sells insurance, but for example, you know, and so you obviously want to talk about it, and as people talk and find out about what they do, you know, the thing's going to come. Show us a trick. You know, let's see something. You know, the only other time that happens is if you're sat next to a doctor and you say, you know, I've got this thing wrong with me, and they will. But if you're a bricklayer, you don't say, build me a wall or something. You know what I mean? So, so that time when you're sitting with someone and they say that moment, I know I've got some colleagues, some friends, or whatever, or less experienced magicians who might be there who've been the same intrigued conversations, and they would maybe get something out, just, you know, and imagine you're there at a function where they're on a table and you're just starting to do something, and then the guy who's got the microphone up there says, now we're going to have the raffle, everybody, just to get into the moment of this trick. That would be terrible. I would not want to put myself in that situation. So you've got to know when not to do it as well as when to do it.
I think there was a moment actually when on that function we went to, you were waiting for something. I think waiting for the auction to finish or something before.
Well, for example, because you just know full well. I'm going to show you something nice and visual now. I don't know if you can see this. Can you? Come nice and close to this. I don't know if you can see this or not really. But so I like, you know, as a quick trick, this would be quite clever. So this is our character that, you know, this is parts of my catalogue that I've given you just there so you can see it. 5 bits of paper like this. There's me on there, and watch, happens very quickly. So do not take your eyes off for 1 second because it happens that quickly, you know.
Back now.
Yeah, I mean, so things like that. I love
That's
these
mental.
reactions. These reactions are.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Yes.
That was mad.
So
Did you see that?
I saw it through the camera.
Right, yeah, that's nuts. That's.
no. But so what I'm
Can
saying.
you do that for me?
Yeah, I do that. That's all I do all day long in a room, just doing that. You know, it's my wife's favourite drink. Let me tell you. Yeah. No, it's no. So you know, what I'm
Wow.
saying is, you know, it's a happiness moment, crazy moment. It's just there's things you can do. It is a power, isn't it? And you're looking at me totally different from how you were looking at me 5 minutes ago. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it just shows you've got to use it well when you use it.
That was
What
so
a talent!
good. That was
What
so
a
good.
talent! Honestly, what a brilliant talent!
Yeah.
No, thank you.
It's incredible. I
Yeah.
mean, it
I
really
just-
is incredible. You know, you're speechless. I'm actually
Yeah.
like, how have you done that?
Yeah. And I'm literally like, where?
But
Where'd
even
that
you
go?
even
Yeah.
said, watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Watch
happened
it
really
closely,
quickly,
yeah.
so I'm
Yeah.
proper on that.
Yeah.
Bit of
Yeah,
paper
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Jeez.
That's amazing. That's. Darren, look.
Yeah, I mean, like just trying to get you rack your brain, just thinking, like with anything else in life, you pretty much you can. Okay, Mike Tyson's been knocked out by James Buster Douglas. Oh, what a right hand that was! I can see it. I can see what's made him win.
Yeah, but that you can't see.
Can I see?
Yeah. Well, you know,
Yeah.
credit to the people who design, invent, and all that sort of stuff as well. But
Yeah, I mean, what a talent they've got to even
yeah,
like,
it's
to
just, I mean,
create this stuff.
yeah, it's
Which is what your dad did with the Berglas effect.
yes,
right?
absolutely.
He created that, right?
Yeah, but that's a harder one. There's not many. Yeah, that's it's
Yeah.
not something that can be shared. That's the thing, because he's actually the way he's doing magic. You know, let's say when I'm doing some sleight of hand, there's various techniques of things that you learn, and you know how to force a card or to, you know, that there's all those type of things. But when he's doing it, it's a different thing. It's like a jazz pianist. You're not actually going the normal routes. He's going in a totally different direction.
Just for people that were listening, because not everyone's going to watch it; they're going to listen. He just turned some slips of paper into a load of £20 notes in front of my eyes.
And the paper has gone.
Yeah.
Like I was
Yeah.
watching, that paper is not here anymore. It's £20 note.
Yeah, I'm just realising there's people listening.
It's
that
£20
not
note.
always-
Like, honestly,
yeah.
it's probably done me in. You forget sometimes, you know, how powerful magic is,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and how impressive it actually is. You know, you have memories of it.
Yeah.
Tricks being, and
Well,
it's, so you see that.
I think when you see it live, you know, there's no question. We're not
That's
here
what I'm
now.
saying about
We're not
technology,
doing,
TV.
Exactly, we're not doing any camera
Yeah.
trick. We're right here. It's happening right in front of you. So that is probably will have a more of an effect. Something you'll remember that hopefully in years to come, won't you? That,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
absolutely.
If
So-
I saw that on TV, I would have gone, nah.
That's it.
No.
That's it. So I don't
Yeah.
think TV technology doesn't do magic.
well, it's a different
it does it
discipline.
injustice because you've got to
Yeah.
see that with your own eyes.
Yeah. A lot of
Because
people-
otherwise you can say, nah.
A lot of people
I
don't go and see
don't know how that's happened.
live magic, and you know, if you've got a good magician, or I don't know if, when this is likely to go out, but there's some good live shows coming up at the Magic Circle. Or you know, they do Christmas shows for families.
Yeah.
They've got a Halloween show coming up.
This is in Euston.
Yeah,
right.
in Euston, and,
Well,
and
we'll
just check
definitely
on.
go.
on
We'll
Oh,
definitely
yeah, I'm
go,
definitely
yeah.
up
yeah,
for that, yeah.
but you got to check the right shows and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely, it's nice to see live magic. It really is, you know.
Do you have fears as a, well, I suppose you've got different facets to what you're doing, right? Do you have a fear as the president? Do you have fears in that role? Do you have fears as a magician
no.
and as a businessman? And as a person?
There's 4 different
four.
questions, really.
Yeah, sorry, mate.
But do you have fears? No, I wouldn't have. Yeah, I think you're saying like imposter syndrome, aren't you? You're basically saying, am I really suitable to do this role?
No. I suppose, do you fear something happening that would amount to you being a failure as a president of the Magic Circle?
No, I've seen people in the past who haven't done things quite like how I would do it, and therefore perhaps hasn't been as successful for them. I mean, you know, in the past, I think in the early days, from when it was formed in 1905, there's about 5 or 6 presidents, and they were the first. I told that guy who was the forefather of British magic, David Devan. Then there was like Earl this and Lord Ampthill and this, Duke of Somerset and all that sort of thing. And then a guy who was the secretary called Francis White, who was there for 31 years as and he was more of a like a figurehead, he was just yes, no, he wouldn't actually do a lot. And then the first major election was from when my dad got it in 1989, and he went to it from 1998. And then more recently, it's sort of the term is a maximum of 5 years now. It's a new rule, but it can be challenged every year.
Oh, really?
And
so you can only do this for 5 years?
Five. In that 5, I'm thinking, in this time, I want to be able to do something good. And listen, it's a great and prestigious organisation, but I genuinely feel it could and should be even better. And I think I can help make that. And I think one of the problems previously is there's been a lot of politics, as there would be in any sport or anything. And I think if we get away from the politics side of things and get people talking, that's one of the skill sets I've supposedly had in my own business. The fact that I've been bringing people together and overcoming many different difficulties over the years. And I think things can be resolved. And if you've got positive people, I'm very much a glass half full type of person as opposed to a glass half empty. And I think it's really important to do that, because there are so many people who are unfortunately negative and jealous, and you just got to understand the motivation of why they are and just try and look for the good in things,
Yeah.
Well, so going back to that question I asked you in a roundabout way, but how would you like to be remembered, your legacy in magic?
I think this. I think one of the reasons I've done this presidential thing is to help how I am remembered, because I'd like to think I can help the magic community. I'd like to think I've done a lot for magic, and I've been recognised for doing that. Awarded the several major awards, like for outstanding contribution to British Magic and for services to Magic from the biggest organisations there. So that's very nice. And as I said before that, I was a member of the Inner Magic Circle with Gold Star. So I've been recognised that. But I think this is, for a magician, this is probably the biggest thing that could happen, really.
You've had big boots to fill. You must be proud of yourself as well, the way you continued living on keeping that name alive.
Yeah, I think I am, and I'm probably very pleased also to bring back my dad's name for those youngsters who didn't really know him growing up. It's really a nice thing to sort of remind people of that, because he'd done such a lot for magic, and he pretty much got the art form of magic recognised and got some funding which helped get us the building and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it was sort of before my time, and just in thinking about you coming on, I've looked into you and then looked into him, and hopefully that gets people looking into what he was and what is. Yeah. But in magic, he's a legend. You know what I mean? And yeah. So your legacy as a person outside of magic, or is it all intertwined with magic and business?
No, I think as a person is how I'd like to get remembered. Whether I did magic or didn't do magic. I'm a family man. I'm hopefully a nice guy, and hopefully a fair guy, and I'm very lucky. I feel absolutely blessed. I'm doing what I love, and it's opened many, many doors for me around the world. Met the most incredible people and made lifelong friends, and that's really more important to me than anything else.
From my very small experience of you before today, I can only speak highly. I've met you just by chance. You come to me at breakfast before I left the resort and gave me a card. Then a while later, I just thought of you for this, asked you, and you said yes. Like, you're just a willing person to sort of put yourself out there and help in whatever way you can. And I really appreciate that
likewise.
about you. Like, you've come here from where you live. Like, you've come all the way here, and
Well, it's been an
it
absolute
speaks volumes
pleasure.
for your
Thank you.
personality. Do you know what I mean? It's,
Thank you. I'm sure you guys would have done the same, and this looks a great setup, and I wish you well, and it sounds a very interesting concept. So if we've inspired one person to get into magic,
Sure,
or
yeah.
more importantly, many people to be positive and passionate about what they do, that's a great
well,
thing.
our final
Yeah.
question is, why fight? Like, why bother working so hard? Why pushing yourself so hard? Like, what is the kind of purpose behind that? What is the end result for you? You
Yeah,
want?
it's funny because I think when you do something, you don't actually feel you are working hard. You're just doing it. And they say if you want something done, ask a busy person.
Yeah.
Some people running around doing all sorts of things, but they can still manage to achieve and juggle many different things at the same time. Whereas other people, this is really tough, and they think of 20 reasons not to do it. Whereas you
A
just get
busy
on with
person
it.
just gets on with
Yeah,
it.
it's just what you do, isn't it? That's it really. I mean, it's trust me, it's lovely to have spare time, but it's actually it's to have a purpose and do things. It's actually quite motivating. I think keeps you fit and young and mentally sharp, and I think that's really important. I think there's a lot to be said about retiring too early. I know. Listen, you in boxing retired early, but you've got your life ahead of you, and you're doing things like this. And
How old are you, Marvin?
I'm 64.
Yeah, like 64, and you're as busy as ever. Do you know what I mean? It's inspiring. That is inspiring. Do you know what I mean? There's no sort of sign
But it's
of
funny,
like,
they say there's no such thing as an old magician, because old in years maybe, but their mind is very active, and their hands and wanting to do things, and they're inquiring minds, and they like being presentational skills. I mean, that's another thing that magic actually brings. It does. I personally think that I'd love to see magic being taught in schools, because I actually think it does help confidence for kids. It helps
100%,
presentational ability, which will help you in anything you do in life. It obviously creates their attention, for
communication
the
skills.
That's so huge and so important in everything you do in life. So it's been used in great ways as well. There's a charity that we're involved with called Breathe Magic, where kids with really unfortunate brain issues and stuff, hemiplegia and that type of thing, are using magic as a way of inspiring them. So, for example, by doing certain tricks, it replicates certain things they do in everyday life. Like what for us, opening a bag of crisps or doing your buttons up on your shirt, is they'll have trouble doing that, but once they've done some of the magic tricks, they can replicate and do these things.
Right,
So it has a lot of
gives
good
them
as well.
important life skills just to be able to
Yeah,
coordinate their body and
manual dexterity and all sorts of things,
Yeah.
So and a motivation to do that. But it's a great hobby. It's a great profession if you're lucky and you work hard at it. But it's fun, and it's a happiness business. And so I'm delighted to be here.
Can we end on a trick? Has you got one more?
Oh, so I should have left the best to last, but I'm going to try something. A mixture of some of the things we've spoken. I've got here a pack of cards. I'm going to leave it just there. So I got you. Who did I do the last trick? I did to you with the card. I'm going to try
you
with
did the money with
Yeah, I'm going to try with Ryan. Well, I'll do something with both of you. I've got a pack of cards just here, and if I was asked you just to think of a card, just literally think of a card, would you be impressed if I could name that card?
Yeah, hold on. Okay, got it.
Yeah? So would you be impressed if I could name that card? Yeah? Okay. I name your card Paul. See? So I could name this card. I named this Paul. I did what I said. And named your card Paul. Now, maybe you think that's a bit glib and I'm just being stupid, but I use cards every day, and to me they're my friends, And so I've got a pack of cards here. I just want to show you this. So this pack's got different names written on the back of each one, like Helen, Steve, Ray, for example, Mark. For example, Ray is King of Clubs, and John, for example, is the Eight of Hearts. But they've all got different names, right? So I said to you, I name your card Paul before we even started. Would you tell me what your card was?
Yeah, King of Hearts.
The King of Hearts. So let's just check. You're watching exactly what I'm watching, yeah? I'm going to look for the King of Hearts. No, there's the King of Hearts. And before we do anything else, let me just say, you remember before we started, I said, think of a card, I'll name your card.
Yeah.
I name your card Paul.
Paul.
The King of Hearts says Paul.
Do you know what the
That's
mad
insane.
thing? Do you know what the mad thing about this is? I at the last minute, because I was thinking of other cards, I changed my mind.
Oh.
I changed my mind, and it was the King of Hearts.
Well,
It was the King of Hearts, so like, it could have been one of three there, but I picked the King
You
of Hearts.
implanted it in your
Well,
mind.
I'll tell you what, we'll try it differently. We'll try it with you now. Because this time, instead, what I'm going to do, I'm going to say a card, right? And you're going to give me a name here, one of these names that you see, okay? So I'm going to say 2 of diamonds, okay? Now, just look through these names. We got Helen's, Steve, Ray, Mark, Faye, John, Sean, Jen, Sharon, Mike, Kim, Anna, Rick, Sam, Adam, Alan, Tony, Jill, Cliff, Tom. So I could go on, but was anybody there that resonates with you in any way, shape or form?
There is, yeah, but I don't know if it's going to make it's sort of out of order because it's sort, I already know what that card is.
No, don't do one that
Okay.
with
This my son's name's Ray. So you said resonates, so it stood out.
No,
but-
Ray, because I showed you before
Yeah,
what Ray
yeah,
was.
yeah.
So,
Okay,
Ray, let's just
okay.
try.
The one that stood out for me, yeah, I've got one. Yeah,
Have you?
yeah. Dave
Dave? Who's Dave? Do we know Dave? Or
Dave
not?
Robinson. He's the chairman of Repton.
Okay, I wouldn't have known that. Let's see. Where would you see that? We got Adam, Alan, Tony, Jill, Andy, Cliff, Tom, Dave.
Yeah, it's the last one.
There we go. Wait, it's not the last one because we've got on and on. But
No, the last one is what you got to do.
So basically, do you remember what I said to you? We'll try it differently. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And I
for
know
you,
what
I
card you
said,
said.
I said to you.
Did you
know,
say
think of a
2 of
card.
diamonds?
I said 2 of diamonds, and you said Dave, and
Yeah.
Dave is the 2 of diamonds.
Wow.
It is crazy. Well,
There
what a
we
way
go.
to end
That's
it.
crazy, mate.
Marvin,
That's-
thank you very
that's
much,
amazing.
mate. Okay.
Pleasure. Nice to see you.
It'll be
boys.
one of them journeys home for me where I get home in a second because I'll be racking my brain
Yeah.
how he's done those tricks today.
I'm not even going to bother trying.
Have you enjoyed it? Have you enjoyed it?
Honestly, I really have.
Yeah?
Thank you so much for
Thanks a
taking the
lot.
time out.
It's been a pleasure,
Brilliant.
and yeah, really appreciate you coming all the way here.
It's a pleasure.